Affinity Extra, be extra.
Hey guys, welcome to Affinity Extra. My name is Lady T. Starting a brand new feature called Lady T Meets. So technically, this is the first episode. So welcome. Lady T Meets. This is where I'm going to be deep diving with some of your favorite figures in music and entertainment and just general life, and who are doing great things in the kingdom and who are Christians. So I hope you're ready, because it's going to be a great series ahead. So first off, my first guest. I'm happy about this because my first guest hails from my birth country. Now, if you don't know, I was actually born in Nigeria. And I thought, okay, how am I going to do this? But then when I was looking for guests to do, and his name just randomly popped up, or a video of his popped up, I thought, you know what? I'm going to start with this guy, because you are going to get to find out who he is. So he hails from a birth country of Nigeria. He's an accomplished and award-winning, just need to stress that part, all right, a singer, songwriter, producer. He's featured in some amazing publications, which I can't wait to be featured in one day, okay, such as Essence, Rolling Stones, even Vogue. You know, to be honest with you, when you see his features, his glasses, that's probably why you'll know he was featured in Vogue, because he is that stylish. He is very stylish. And also he's played at some really, really cool festivals in Africa, in the UK, and also US of A as well. So ladies and gents, please welcome my guest. Well, my very first guest for Lady T Meets. It's none other than Bez. Hey.
Hiya.
We're gonna get into the Brit thing in a bit, because I want to see how well you've acclimatized to the Brit, to the Brit life.
Yeah.
But anyways, Bez, thank you so much for joining me. And I didn't tell you, I didn't tell you that you were my first guest. That was probably
no, you didn't. I just found out.
Exactly. So maybe that was a good thing. So no pressure whatsoever. Yeah. But no, seriously, it's great to have you on this first on the launch of this new series that I'm going to be doing. And so we're going to chop it up with you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you some questions, okay? And just to get to know you a little bit more, and just to see, how your mind is. Because, sometimes people like to be like, they're kind of like prim and proper, but it's like...
Oh, goodness. All right, let's go.
All right, brilliant. Okay, so here we go. Let's try this first. All right. So this is called If You Could. All right. So if you could, would you skydive or bungee jump?
I would bungee jump.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I would skydive, because bungee jump, it's a bit dodgy. All right. Oh, okay. Yeah. Lagos or London?
Oh man, I would say Lagos. Because I have that's my context. I know Lagos a lot. I love London, but I feel like Lagos is home. I can find my way around it, and then it's just
definitely. Okay, let me add this: mainland or island?
I would say mainland. I lived at both. I lived on the mainland. I lived on the island. The mainland is just more real, really, and it's just more real.
I've heard. Do you know what? I've heard people say this. Like every time they say mainland, I'm like, okay. And it's funny. Every time I go back home, I rarely go to mainland. So I think when I next go, I need to experience mainland.
Oh yeah,
just to see
absolutely.
What's up?
It's more authentic. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So so now that you're in the UK, roll neck or round neck?
I would say round neck. Round neck is more of my thing. Roll neck, I have just one roll neck, but round neck,
one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Slim fit trousers or jogging bottoms?
Yeah. I mean, I'll go with slim fit. That's what I wear mostly, but my desire is to wear jogging bottoms my whole life,
Really?
Just chill, like I just feel like, I just need to be lounging and chilling, but slim fit.
Okay. All right. So How about this? Not being able to sing or have your thoughts in a bubble for everyone to see.
Oh, not being able to sing.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
My thoughts can be chaotic, and yeah, I would like to keep them to myself.
To be honest with you, I think everybody would, because I mean, if people would see like the kind of things, the thoughts of some, it's like,
no.
are you sure you're saved? Are you of God?
Yeah.
Are you righteous? Okay, all right. Igala or Tom Toms?
I would say Tom Tom.
Yeah. And then lastly, beans and plantain or rice and stew and plantain?
Rice and stew and plantain anytime.
My guy, I love it. No, it's so good. All right, brilliant. Thank you so much for those questions. Much appreciated. All right, so I mean, Bez. Okay. First of all, what is your name short for? And like, how did you come to have just Bez as a stage name?
Yeah. So I mean, my full names are Emmanuel Bejiwa. But Bez is like shortened. It's a family name that's shortened, Bez Idakula. But Bez is short for Bejiwa. That's Bezhiwa. And it means first man in the land. Yeah, that was my grandfather's name. So I think he was the first man, to move into the land where we had, so that was the name, first man in the land. Yeah. So
nice.
That name. I really love the name. Yeah. So I shortened it. It was shortened before I shortened it anyway. So I shortened it to Bez. Yeah.
I love it. So so when you were, I guess, growing up, was music one of those things where like, oh, this is for me, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And did you, coming from a African, Nigerian background, were you from a typical family where like, you had to do the academics that would make parents be very boastful that their son is this and that? So what was your story?
Yeah, all our parents were first in their class. You know that, right?
Yes, of course. Never last, always first.
Exactly. So you needed to toe the line. Anyways, I grew up in a very interesting family. My dad, he went to the seminary. He studied as a theologian, and he played the guitar. So I learned the guitar from him. And he would do something very interesting with my mom. He would take the guitar, and he and my mom would sit in front of those old school tapes and just push the record button and record themselves singing and have their own albums made by themselves. So he and my mom used to have, an album with duets, just both of them singing.
Oh, wow.
Gospel albums, but my dad wrote in Hausa, which is the language from northern Nigeria.
Listen, can we just let's just pause. Listen, even though I'm from Yoruba, like my parents, my dad's Yoruba, but there is something about singing in Hausa that just gets my soul. Like I'm like.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It is beautiful. It is absolutely amazing.
Language. Yeah. So he wrote in Hausa. So I grew up around that, environment, and we would be invited to churches to sing special numbers as a family, or my sister's school, maybe at graduation. So I had that background, but I never thought for once that I'll be a musician. That was not in my radar at all. In fact, I didn't think I was good at singing or even playing the guitar. So I would just fiddle around with the guitar, but nothing much really. It was just passion. I loved it, but nothing more than that. I think, yeah.
So at what point did you then kind of like pick it up, and then I guess your dad noticed that, oh, you know what, you have something here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I was like 9 or 10, my dad taught me how to play, so I could play from that age, so I could play the guitar properly. But again, very basic guitar, but I was fluent with it. My dad died when I was about 12, so he didn't have the opportunity to see me thrive and grow in it. And when I was about 12, that was when I was still in secondary school, so I was still figuring myself out, and it was a big blow to the family. But anyways, when I was in university, I went to a university called Covenant University. And this man, the chancellor of the uni, is a big preacher. Many people may know the name Bishop Oyedepo. And
Oh, wow.
he was very, he mentored us, really. He really mentored us. And he was very loud about purpose. You need to find your purpose, read my books, listen to my tapes, read wide,
As you
and
do, as you do,
yeah, and read wide and discover your purpose. Because
Mhm.
if you do not know where you're going, anywhere will look like where you're going. So I read wide, purpose-driven life requiring, and one of the books that I found my purpose in was He Motions by T.D. Jakes. And I was reading that, and he asked the question, what would you do for the rest of your life without being paid, and you still do it? I was like, music. And that was where my journey started. That was when I was in my second year of university. But I knew at that point that that was what I was going to do. And I had to dig deeper. So I would just ask God questions, study the word and pray, but nothing deep. And I asked God, like, if this is my purpose, what do you want me to do with the music? And I had a line, like a phrase, adding value to the world through music. And that was what I held on to till now. So that was where everything started in my second year in uni.
Yeah.
Very,
No, I think that's amazing. And I love the fact that you had I guess a Christian background growing up, and when you look at a lot of the, big artists, and then when they begin to write their memoirs and stuff like that, you realize that their foundation started in church.
Yeah,
and
that's the foundation. Yeah,
and it's crazy. And how important is it with that church? What is it about the church foundation that really sets people apart, or like or you felt has helped you?
I think it's really about values of life. And I mean, if you read the Bible, right across the Bible, scattered around, there's advice for my son, always seek for wisdom, be wise, do not follow the path of the wicked, of the foolish. You have advice like that. There's a lot of advice. Meditate on these words day and night, and you'll be prosperous in your way. And the Bible has nuggets of wisdom all around, even in Jesus' words, all around. So I think without knowing, we were indoctrinated into this, value system that really served as a foundation and really helped us. The Bible says, train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he grows up, he would not depart from it.
From the word,
So sometimes when you want to find yourself going off, you might remember those words that your parents were speaking to you, or you might remember those words in Sunday school or in church. It will lead and it will guide you. So I think that's the important part, and that's what happens, when you grow up as a Christian or in a Christian home. Somewhere out there in your subconscious, there's something speaking to you. The Holy Spirit is speaking to you. So I believe that's what happens.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that. So now as you are, I guess, in uni and really starting to gravitate towards this singing, and now about when God has given you that word about adding value to to the people that you meet and stuff like that. So how did your first sort of like release come about? Like, what was the journey for your very first release?
How did it all crystallize? Well, I left uni, I left uni, I graduated from uni. Actually started
before someone come and say like, you did what? But we told us this.
I was a techie, so I studied information technology in uni, but I never used it for one day professionally.
It's like maths. It's like maths and trigonometry. When are we going to use trigonometry exactly?
When are we going to use Pythagoras theorem?
Exactly. It's like square root. When?
So, I mean, after I graduated from uni, my sister was starting an open mic night in Lagos. And it started with about 7 people sharing poetry and music. And it was just the perfect platform for me. So it's called Tarua, which is a Hausa word for gathering. So I would be there every 2 weeks, playing my guitar, singing the songs I was writing, playing for people who would come to sing, playing behind poetry, giving that background music. I mean, I played every 2 weeks at this space. And this space became like a melting pot for a lot of people, professionals, young people, creatives. And I just started getting opportunities from there. It happened where there's a Nigerian artist called Asha. She was coming into town. She lived in France. And the man who produced her, Kobams Asuko, who is very talented,
amazing, like he's such a great person.
Yeah, and he's visually impaired. He can't see. So that's why he's really great. He reached out to me and said, "Oh, we heard you have a similar sound, and we're looking for somebody to open for her gig in Lagos. She has 2 gigs. So would you be interested?" I'm like, "What?" And I've been searching for this guy, So I went to his studio, he auditioned me, and he's like, "What? This guy? What?" But then I didn't hear anything. And then he called me back and said, "You know what? We don't think you have enough material to open, but I feel like you can open with me and do that one great song of yours." And that's what happened. And I opened with Kobams for Asha for 2 gigs. And in fact, one of the gigs that they told me to play the same song again, I think that was where everything really picked up for me, because I built a great relationship with Kobams. We're still friends. And he ended up being my producer for many years. And we had a work relationship as well. And that was where everything started for me, really.
Wow. And what was the song that, like, I guess, you opened up with, and then it's still stuck till today? You're thinking this song is
it's called Stop Pretending. There was, and it was just a guitar song. There was an interesting way I played it, and great melody, great song, great writing, and people just loved it. So that's the song.
Would you say that was your breakout song? Like, obviously you played it for for when you opened for Asha. Would you say that breakout song, or what song do you feel was the song that then launched you to be like, this is me, this is Bez?
I would say there were 2 songs. There's one song called Zuciya Daya, which means one heart in Hausa, or whole heart. That was really like the beginning of people really saying, "Who is this guy? Who is this guy?" They'll play it on the radio and they were like, "Who is this guy?" And then after then we released the album, and there was a very catchy song called That Stupid Song.
That Stupid Song, yes.
Yeah, so that was a song that really just launched me proper, because I mean the song was released on then BET 106 and Park. It was just everywhere. So it was an interesting one, and it just opened up the airways for us.
Yeah. So what was That Stupid Song all about? I mean, like, clearly it wasn't a stupid song, because it got you to where because it got you to where you are now. So what's the story behind it?
I mean, it was just a funny song. It was just like these songs that we sang when we're young. What do they really mean? Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony. So we mashed up different songs together. We mashed up London Bridge is falling down, and then we picked some songs from Nigeria. Timbo Timbo Titi Alabatu Salabalaba Kai Kai. So it was looking at the songs that we sang when we were growing up as kids. And we got a catchy hook and then brought these songs together. Like, what does that mean? What does that mean? That's a stupid song. That's a stupid song. Really, that was a song. And it was like people could connect and relate to it, because these were the songs that they sang when they were growing up. And to think about it, what does that mean? What does it mean to have he stuck a feather in his hat and called it macaroni? What does that mean? So yeah, it was just fun. A fun song and a very catchy tune.
Yeah, and again, like you said, relatable. And how important is it to write stuff like that, like things that are relatable? And should artists be writing relatable songs? Because sometimes they don't.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, that song just came as an idea and we wrote it. I think there are always bursts of inspiration, and you catch it when it's there. But also, I feel like the best stories or the best songs are written from true life experiences. When you have a true life experience, somebody out there possibly may have gone through the same experience. That's why they relate to it. So if you write your true life experiences or heartbreak, whatever it is, or finding God, finding self, being in a place where you lost it all, but then you found grace, and people love those songs because they connect to it, and especially when they can see a light at the end of the tunnel in your story.
Yeah. I read you've got like 4 great albums.
Yeah.
And every time I ask this question to, to guests, it just gets them a little bit stumped. out of the four albums and basically hundreds of songs that you've written on all the albums,
yeah,
what was the most difficult song to write?
There was a song called Over You in my first album. It started with a production, just beat that was given. And it was super hard to write to it. First of all, I didn't, my writing process starts with me sitting on the guitar and just creating music, and then the words come, or the lyrics or the story. When I'm given a beat, I'm meant to write on an already predefined template. It's very hard for me to do. Or at that time, it was hard for me to do. So Over You was hard. And then I was meant to write about heartbreak. And I think it wasn't super realistic because I hadn't gone through that before. I'm over you, give me the keys to my car. That never happened. So it was so hard for me to write. But the songs that are easy for me to write are those songs that just come while I'm playing, while I'm, thinking about stuff or thinking of a story. It just comes when I'm writing with people, yeah.
So keeping on that, what's been still on the hard song to write in terms of a life experience or something that's happened? What was that song and what birthed it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The hardest song for me to write from a life experience, I think it would be yeah, you're right. Like it gets people stuck because I'm thinking about it.
Was there one that made you cry or that you felt very emotional and you dedicated it to somebody?
No.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I guess going through different phases of my life, I think I would say like the most honest album for me is Sacred Songs and Solos, which is the last album that I released. And some of the songs there, it was hard to bring out because I needed to be super vulnerable with the way that I felt at the time. And one of them is Ganinang, which means here I am. And it was at a point of extreme breaking. I had to be stripped out. Everything was being stripped away from me. Things that I knew, things that I called my identity. They were being taken away from me. And what I was given, was like an opportunity to surrender myself completely to God. And it was a hard one because I had to say, here I am, here's my life, I give you everything is yours. I could say it before and not mean it, At the point when I was writing that song and when I was putting the melody to the song together, everything came together to really speak about that season. And it was a very difficult season for me.
I mean, let's dive into it because for those that know you, in terms of your music that you've actually created, you were doing mainstream stuff. Like you were and it wasn't anything bad either. It was just it was really good music. It was wholesome music, and
absolutely.
And it was people connected to it, and people still. And I think we still need more wholesome music. I can't lie. Like Christians who are doing wholesome, we still need it. So I think there's a place for everything. So so you were in mainstream and you were doing this really good music, and then you then said that you came to your current album. So what was there something that happened as to where like, okay, like God is calling you, like you felt like I need to surrender now. Like was there something that happened that you can share that got you to that place?
Yeah, a lot of things happened, So I got married in 2014. A year after that, 2015, we lost our daughter, our first baby, and it was a very difficult period because you're looking forward to having your baby, but then you get into the hospital and all of that, and then you're told this bad news about the baby not being fully formed, and this
Could happen.
basically
Yep.
she's not going to live. So she came, and I carried her, and she died in my arms. But at that point, I never thought about planning a funeral or buying a coffin or something like that. But
Who does?
that's
Yeah.
that's the reality of it. So that happened, and it really shattered us, as a couple. So one thing that happens after this kind of a situation is that people run away from God, or they get angry, or say, "Oh, God, why me? Why me?" But we found that we were drawn closer, by that situation, the drastic situation. And we just started searching more. My wife had done a discipleship course, and she just advised me to do it. So I'm like, whatever, I'm a celebrity. I can't go and be sitting in a discipleship course and all of that, but I did it, and that just changed my life. I found myself, not that I didn't used to meditate on the word, but it wasn't consistently. But I found myself doing it consistently. I found myself praying consistently, studying consistently, writing, journaling consistently, learning verses consistently. And I did that over 4 books of the discipleship course. And I think one of the books was like maybe 3 months or so. So it took me a while. And after then, I just found that I got into this realm. It was subtle. It just felt like the first discipleship course book, the next one. And before I knew it, I developed this lifestyle. They said you can use 21 days to build a habit, how true that is, but like the more I did it, the more I wanted to connect, the more I felt like I needed to connect with God, the more I felt like I was hearing, but I wasn't sure if I was hearing, but I would see prayer points coming to pass, and that was interesting. And then later on, my wife again came again to say, "Oh, there's this." She's a counselor. She counsels people. So she was looking for a counseling center, and she found this place that was also prophetic. So, so she, it's interesting. These guys are offering courses of hearing God's voice. Do you want to do it? All right, whatever. Let's try. We're already in it. So we did this course, Hearing God's Voice, and it took us about 3 to 6 months, and it was like, wow, another level was open. Our dreams changed, because we dream a lot, my wife and I. Our dreams changed. It became clearer. We started learning how to interpret dreams. We're watching a lot of videos, listening to a lot of sermon. So before we knew, we found ourselves by mistake in this whole space.
Wow.
There we were, really praying a lot, hearing from God a lot, studying a lot, watching sermons a lot, being around people who were, in the prophetic community. We were just immersed in that space. Before I knew it, there was another course that came, and I did the course, and then it just kept on coming, and I just kept on doing the courses. And throughout the season, people would come to me to say, I feel like you need to do worship music. And I'm like, well, I mean, the music I do is wholesome, is great, is inspirational, and every good gift is God, so yes, I mean, I know people who do worship music need to be called. I don't just need to do it because, like I have.
There has to be a purpose. That has to be a purpose, or the substance has to be there.
Yeah,
to be led to it.
Yeah. So I was always fighting it, and then random people would meet my sister. I wouldn't know these people. They'll know my sister, and they're like, "Well, do you have a brother? Well, we feel like God is saying he should do worship music." I'm like, "Yeah, forget those people," So my wife reminded me. She said when we were dating, she schooled in London, so she used to go to Jesus House, and they would have this season where from June to sometime they would pray Pursuit of God. Yes, and then she would do that, and then she was telling me that, Bez, I just felt like God was saying you needed to do worship music. She was the first person who mentioned it to me, and I'm like, nah, I can't do that. I mean, my bank account doesn't recognize, honorariums. I do invoices and I get paid. That's what I do.
Let's just keep it real. Just keep it real. This is how it is.
That's how we roll. Anyway, so after doing these courses, we got to COVID, and COVID was that season where it was shut down for everybody.
Mhm.
A lot of people were introspective. They thought about life in a different way, you know, and I just thought, what am I doing? You know, there were more courses to do. There was a prophetic course, you know, and I did the prophetic course. Big mistake, because this because I had to, the demands of it was that I had to spend a lot of time in prayer.
Oh wow.
A lot of
The
time.
sacrifice.
Yes, a lot
Sacrifice,
of
yeah.
time in prayer, a lot of time studying, a lot of time hearing, you know, just
Mhm.
sharing with people. And God started speaking to me very clearly. I mean, this time I would, you know, I don't want to say a lot, but I would see people and God would speak to me about them, and I'll tell them, and they'll be like, "Oh my God, how did you know?" And I'm like, "This is what God is saying about you," and just encourage them. So God started speaking to me clearly, and I knew that I could hear His voice.
Hmm.
And from dreams, He started speaking to me about worship music and surrendering, and um moving out of Nigeria. And I'm like, this is my comfort zone. This is where everybody knows me. This is where I step into a restaurant, they play my music, I'm giving freebies, I'm doing
Freebies. You
brand
give the freebies.
endorsements, I'm doing, do you understand what I mean? This
Yeah.
is context. This is where people know me. I go
Yeah.
to the UK, nobody knows me. I'm gonna start from
Hmm.
scratch. I can't
Hmm.
do that. But I felt the Lord saying, move to the UK, do worship music. And that was where everything just began to crash. Yeah, for me, because COVID, gigs weren't coming in. It was just difficult. It was just a tough season.
Hmm.
What God was saying. How am I even gonna go? Like, how am I gonna live? How am I,
Mhm.
like, how's it gonna happen?
How do I survive? How do I
How do I
maintain?
survive? How,
Yeah, how do I provide? Yeah.
and I have this dream, and this dream is just so clear. I was piloting a plane, but the plane was stuck in sand in Bar Beach in Lagos. And then a voice just said to me in the dream, "So what does this mean?" It means you're in the wrong geographical location. You're meant to be on a tarmac so you can fly. And then I see
Ooh.
myself landing in an airport, and I was given a blue sweater, a red sweater, like the UK, the British flag colors. And I just knew that that was what God was saying. It was a V-neck sweater.
Not a round neck.
No, not round neck. So
Yeah.
I woke up and I told my wife, I said, I think the Lord is really speaking about UK, because he had been speaking about it before, but we
Mm.
ignored it. We didn't want to. She was also a freelancer doing, she had a community of over 1,000 women that she was running.
Mm.
And also she was also doing brand endorsement. So we were comfortable where we were. So she's like, no, we have 3 kids. Right now we have 2 nannies. It's a different life in the UK. You get
Yep.
there, we
All
can't
those
even,
privileges are gone. So no
yeah, all this
nannies,
privilege,
no cooks,
no,
no
no
nothing.
nannies, no
Yeah.
drivers, no, all of
Mhm.
that, no cooks. So we're like, what are we going to do? And then God gives her a dream. And in the dream, she sees us in London.
Wow. Okay. Simple. And that's
you
it.
know,
And I guess
and
that's that. And I guess that's the point where if you like, be obedient. If you like, don't be obedient. Mm. So I guess that's where your obedience now came in, and then
that's where the obedience came in.
Mm.
Whenever I tell the story, people are always like, "Oh my God, I'm awed by your obedience." No, it was the mercy of God. He pushed us into it,
Mm.
because without him pushing us, or his mercy being kind to gently nudge us into that direction, we
Mhm.
didn't just wake up and say, "Oh, we heard God and we're going." No, we didn't. We said no a lot of times,
Mm.
but he pushed us into it gently,
Yeah.
and we didn't plan for it. This isn't where we want to go. This isn't where we want to be. But anyway, this is what you're saying. But we're a family of 5. It costs to first of all leave Nigeria, apply, do all those things that we needed to do. So, but like, just from nowhere, provision just started coming. Just
And I
like.
was about to ask you this because I've noticed that I've
Oh,
not I've noticed that I've experienced where like when you've been in your comfort zone and you know that
yeah,
like God is like, no, it's you
yeah,
need to move. When
yeah.
he now does, like the thing that you were worried about is just of ease. There is this peace, and that the things that you were worried about, like how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Literally begins to come, and you're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And COVID years where I wasn't gigging was one of our most abundant periods.
Look at that.
It was one of the most abundance we experienced, you know, people's love, resources, everything. It was just massive, you know. So like, all right, so let me apply for the global talent visa, you know. And I'm like, God, I'm going to apply for the highest one. And, you know, if this is you, I'll get it. You know, I applied for the highest one and I got my endorsement in less than 2 weeks. You know,
look at that. Look at that.
Got my visa, you know, quickly. All right, fantastic. And then we had the whole journey of also getting the visas for the kids and all of that. But everything came together and we found ourselves in London in October 2021.
Wow.
All right, so we're here now.
Amazing. And it's good. And it's so good to have you. I mean, like, because I don't even know what I was doing. This is the annoying thing when you're on social media and you're bored and you now start flicking and then you see certain things. And I was like, wait, why does that background look different? I was like, hey, but you're based in Nigeria. And then I saw other videos. I said, oh, wait. And then I saw Cambridge. I said, huh? That's like down the road. I was like, whoa. Okay. So something is good here. Now, there's just one thing I just want you to encourage, I guess, encourage men about. And one thing is, two things actually: discipling your family and then also dealing with loss. Because, you know, you had to grieve your first child and, you know, your baby died in your arms. And, you know, and at times we focus on the women. There's a lot of focus on the women, you know, during that period. But then we realize, especially when the husband is present, like, how are they feeling? How did they process? What did they do? So for you, can you just share with us how you felt, how you process things, and what you would say to men when it comes to dealing with that level of grief?
I mean, in these kinds of situations, obviously the woman carried the baby, so a lot of people would console her more because, like, the physical evidences are still there, you know. And she's dealing with that as well as dealing with not feeling kicks in the belly and then not having a baby to hold. So it's really difficult. And I found myself really being strong for my wife, you know, but there was a day that I just broke down and I started crying, you know, and it felt like at that point she was like, wait, hang on. we both lost someone, you know. It wasn't just me who lost someone, you know. And I think it switched the button, you know, even in the way people related to us, you know. It was like Tito and Bez, you know, as opposed to, oh, sorry, Tito. And I would say vulnerability is the key, you know. If you need to grieve and cry, you need to let it out, you know, because you're holding things back because you need to be strong for your family, strong for your wife, and also strong for society and strong for yourself. We were raised in different ways where they're like, why are you crying? Are you a girl? You know, but do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So you let it go. We all have emotions, so you let it go, you cry, you deal with it. And for the longest time, you know, like I said, I was being strong for her, so I didn't just let myself go. But that day, it just got to here, you know, like we always say, it reached me here, you know, and I just let it go. And she was able to console me, and then we started consoling ourselves. That's just me consoling her. So that was the way I was able to deal with it. And then would watch stuff together, would, you know, just it became a me and her grief as opposed to just her grief. And when she started doing stuff for women who had gone through loss, I would join her to do it as well. And we found that when we shared our story with other women, with other people, you know, there was a healing process that happened each time we did that, you know. So that was the way we were able to go through it, by sharing, you know, and also advising other couples who are going through the same thing.
No, I really wanted to highlight that because, you know, we often gloss over about how a man feels or what he's going through
Yeah.
when they experience that kind of thing, like how do they cope, how do they relate with their wife, their
Yeah.
partner, like how do they move on, and how are they feeling, where at what point, like where did their I guess their feelings or their emotions really get to. We don't really get to dive into that, so I think it's just really important for men to speak about that. If you've gone through it, please speak. You help other brothers, you help other couples. This is how to do it, so so I just want to say thank you for that. That was absolutely brilliant. So now that you've gone through that, you're now in the UK, and the music part, like, so the music thing now, like, how are you finding the process of now recording more worship music and more gospel music, like what are your plans for it, and what is God telling you to do?
So first of all, when I moved to the UK, we were in London for a month, and we knew we were meant to move to Cambridge. So we moved to Cambridge. Again, it happened through dreams and through some confirmations from friends, so we moved to Cambridge. Very unlikely city. We had never been, my wife had only been once to visit her cousin one time. So we moved to Cambridge and started our lives, started going to church. And how do we come to this church? We met a parent in the playground, and she was asking, what are the names of your children? Oh, this is Joshua. This is Emmanuel. Oh, are you guys Christians? Those are Christian names. We're like, yeah, we're Christians. Why don't you come to our church, Holy Trinity? And we're like, all right, we'll check it out. So we went to the church, but we tested all the other churches as well.
Yeah.
But our kids said they really liked the church, even though they were crying the first day they went. So we were like, all right. So we went back to the church and we started attending, and the vicar, obviously as a new person, they'll have a chat with you. Oh, what brings you here? Are you a student? Because Cambridge is a student town. Oh, no, I'm not.
Yes.
What brings you? Work? Not really. This is our story. What? That's crazy. Wow. So we had those conversations, but later on, the vicar saw me during service, and he said, "Oh, Bez, do you want to grab a coffee someday?" I'm like, "All right, that's cool." And he's like, "Well, he felt it impressed heavy on his heart to ask me if I wanted to work in church." I'm like, "What?" It hasn't crossed my mind. Since I left uni, I haven't had any proper job.
Yeah.
I've always been a musician. I've always been a celebrity,
right? Not on the clock. You're not on the clock. You do whatever.
I haven't had this kind of situation come to me before. But the situation we were in, again, we were here. So apart from getting into community, we needed a way to earn. And before then, most of the gigs that I had were in Nigeria, and even the gigs that were coming from abroad, in some way I wasn't being allowed to go, and that's another thing, because in a place of prayer, I would feel like God is saying, don't do it. And, and I just don't know why. And these are gigs in Dubai, in America, in Nigeria, and, God is saying, don't do it. So how am I able to, anyways, so this opportunity comes, and I think about it, I pray. And then one of the associate vicars says, you know what, your story sounds interesting. There's a conference happening in Watford, maybe go to Watford, you would like the conference, So I went for the conference, and it was a prophetic church in Watford. So I go for the conference, and as I walk in, I see the vicar, he says hi to me, whatever. But there was an afternoon session that was happening, and the worship was just sublime. They had, guitars, and they had a mini orchestra, and it was just beautiful. So I felt led to lay my hands on the floor and just pray for that grace of worship.
Wow.
So I went to the back, because I didn't want to weird anybody out, and just laid my hands on the floor. And I'm like, God, whatever grace that is of worship that is in this space, in this church that you've ordained, please ordain me with that same grace of worship, because I don't know where to go, how to do it. I don't know what to do. And I just heard there's somebody here.
that part where the pastor is like, is it me? God, what are you going to do?
There's somebody here who has a calling for worship and evangelism and the person is confused and doesn't know what to do, doesn't even know
Wow.
which one to do, so please come to the front. We need to give you a word and pray for you. I was like, yeah, I know worship, but evangelism, no, that's not me. So they kept on calling, kept on saying it. There's somebody here. We heard it clearly. There's somebody for worship and evangelism, if that is you. And I was like, you know what? Let
Let me just go.
it doesn't go. Maybe it's me. I know worship, maybe not evangelism, but let's go. And I start walking to the front, and the guy just says, yes, it's you. Because as soon as you walked in, the Lord was telling me that he's going to use you in music.
And they've never met you, and they don't even know you.
I said, I'm new in the UK. So I haven't been to Watford before. I'd never heard of anywhere called Watford. But anyways, I went to Watford, and that's what happened.
Look at that. That just shows you God was in this. Like, he has plucked you. Like, this is me bringing you here and confirming it. But even by strangers, he's using people to confirm like what he's meant for you and stuff. So I think that's amazing. And just to see the journey.
Yeah, and I was crying and everything. And when I went back, home, I'm just like, okay, so I'm gonna apply for this role, and I'm gonna take the role. And it's worship and production. So for the past 2 years, I've been in this role and just learning about worship, leading different groups of worship, kids, youth, the women ministry, men's ministry, the whole church. I've led worship in all sorts of ways. So I'm deeply ingrained in leading worship music. And then as soon as I got in, they were like, well, we've already started writing towards a worship album. So if you want to join us, and so I co-wrote on some songs in the worship album. I led some songs in the worship album.
Come on.
We knew it, the songs are coming out now. So the songs have been coming out this year. So it just felt like everything was orchestrated for me to be pushed into that, put into a system that already had a machinery going on for, and a machine for an album being produced for worship music. And then before I knew, I was part of a worship music album that I didn't, it's crazy.
God is amazing.
So now God is telling me, because my time with the church is ending. I was asking God, so what's next? And he's like, I need you to do a tour, 10 cities in the UK, do a worship music tour. Go the way your dad used to go around churches in Nigeria and singing songs with just him and his guitar. I want you to do the same thing. But Lord, when I was in Nigeria, I had a whole band. I had the horns, I had, bass guitar, electric guitar, drum. And he's like, yeah, well, I mean, this is where you are now. So take your guitar and go around. That's how you started. So that's the next assignment for me. So that's the tour I'm announcing now, with the UK. Yeah.
Which I think is fantastic. And because I've seen some of the videos that you've done, we're just gonna, before we talk about the tour, I've seen some of the videos that you've done where you're out on the streets, you are literally with your guitar and doing just that. What has the reception been like? And, was that uncomfortable for you to do because obviously when the prophecy came about, music and evangelism, like you then going out onto the street with your guitar, how was that experience for you? And, how was that experience for you?
Yeah. See, everything is new for me. Everything is, because like this is like a new path for me. So everything I do in this space is new. And again, that was through dreams. Like I God speaks to me a lot through dreams, So it was like, get a busking tool, a speaker, and go out to the streets and busk, So I buy this speaker and I keep it, and I don't go to busk. I just have it. And then I had this dream again where it was, again, an instruction, go out and busk, So I just like, all right, anyways, Fridays are my free days. Let me go out on Friday to busk. And it was very difficult for me because, again, I hide in church, once I go in, I'm in a building, but here I'm outside, playing, singing. Anybody could see me. Nigerian school everywhere, So, oh, Bez, what are you doing here? And as it would happen, the first day I went out busking, somebody saw me, Bez, whoa, took a picture with me. Wow, what are you doing here? I was like, I live in Cambridge now, wow, oh, awesome. But then I had my guitar out, I had my guitar case out. People are gonna drop coins, so it's a very uncomfortable situation.
Yeah.
But I did it, and I was there for an hour. I busked for an hour, and people would come. In fact, it really struck me because two homeless people came and put coins in my bag, and I had a conversation with one of them, Terry, and that's not his real name, and he was like, you just gave me life by
Wow.
songs, and I was like, can I pray for you? And he's like, wow, all right, and I prayed for him. I spoke encouragement into his life, and I could see him tearing up and saying, this is what I really needed. So conversations like that really gave me a lot of hope. People would come and just stand and just watch me, and then at the end they'll just say thank you, different people. Somebody says, don't stop praising God. And people of different nationalities, it was encouraging because I felt God needed me to be encouraged. But also what I was doing was like singing out the praises of God into the airwaves. I didn't know what I was doing, but I felt like there was some, there was Holy Spirit waves going into the airwaves, and that was powerful, even for our city.
No, that's amazing. Now that you are in this space of, I guess the kingdom, it's not what you were before. So a few things. When you eventually release, a full album, are you gonna do just straight worship, or are you gonna infuse your native language with that as well? Because I want to hear that, because I think that would be so different and beautiful. And I think people would be like, oh my gosh, I've never heard that before. So I think you have a space for that. So are you going to do something with your native language? And and like, what are you most excited about now that you are, you've been obedient to God and now on this journey?
So I'm writing. I have some songs ready, and some of them do have Hausa in them, because that's how these songs came. So yes, I've been writing. Some of them are worship music, congregational. Some of them are just what God is speaking to me, that I just say. Sometimes it's what God is saying to people. I have an altar call song, so those are the kind of songs that that I have. What I'm most excited about, is what I feel God is calling me into, and He's calling me into the healing ministry. And it's not just physical healing; it's also emotional healing, but inspiring people. So I have this phrase that came, or just I don't know if it's a phrase or a sentence, hit music phrase, and it's music for healing, inspiration, and transformation. When I share music with you and I share my story, you get inspired. And when I share music, God uses through the Holy Spirit, the music to heal hearts, to heal emotions, to heal lives, and people's lives are transformed. Once you're healed, your life becomes something else. You become a new person. So God has called me into the healing ministry. I definitely feel unqualified for it because, again, I feel like I'm a newbie in this. But I've learned, through my short journey in depth with God, is that He uses people who are willing and available and yielded. He uses anybody He wants to use. So I come saying, I'm here on the altar. I'm dead. I don't have any ambitions other than the ambition for the kingdom of God. It's crazy that I'm saying this, but that's my ambition. I want to see the kingdom of God come strongly, come powerfully in the UK, not only in the UK, but all around the world, in Europe, in America, everywhere, Africa. But I believe that there's a heavy mandate for the United Kingdom. I believe that there's a revival bursting forth, and different groups of people are going to be responsible for it. Creatives are going to be there, young people, older people. He's going to use a lot of people, different churches. It'll be amazing. So I'm just playing a little part of this big story.
Yeah.
Everybody has a part to play, and I'm just playing my little part. But I feel like strongly that God has called me into the healing ministry. So I would like to see how that comes and how that happens.
Yeah.
I'm also a spectator to this thing, so I'm excited about it, but I'm also watching to see how it happens.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely very willing and available and yielded, and I know that it's going to happen, but I'm just seeing how.
Yeah, no, I think it's amazing to see. Like, I've been noticing recently that like a lot of artists who, I guess, have been doing their thing in mainstream, but then it's just like God is really starting to draw these individuals back in and really switching things around. And it's just like, when before you know it, like you said, that revival, that everybody who is in one just really worshiping and just like heaven worshiping and just glorifying God, and just it's going to happen. And it's great to see the transformation that he's doing in you as well. Like, I just couldn't believe it when I was seeing all the videos. I was like, what? Like, what? So for me, my heart rejoices. So that God has someone like you in the kingdom ready to empty themselves for him, for God to be, to be more fulfilling in their life. So thank you for being a willing vessel. And I'm very much looking forward to like all the stuff that's going to be coming from you. So let's quickly talk about your tour. You've got a new tour coming up. Tell us a little bit about the tour and where people can find the information, whether there's tickets, and where you'll be.
So this tour, 10 cities in the UK: Brighton, Birmingham, Bristol, Cambridge, Edinburgh, Liverpool, Leeds, London, Oxford, Manchester. 10 cities. We have 2 dates in Manchester. Birmingham is already sold out.
Wow. Okay.
So we're trying to look for a new venue with more capacity so we can switch to that space. But ideally, really, God is saying, do a free event in these 10 cities. Get people to come, inspire them, share the music, share your story, let them hear what I've been up to, and let them hear the new music that is coming out. But most importantly, he wants people to be fired up. He wants new people to emerge. When it says the harvest field is plentiful, but the laborers
are few.
So pray the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into the field. I'm praying, but I believe that this is God's strategy for sending out laborers into the field. So many people are going to come there that are not Christians, and then they'll become Christians. Many people are going to come and get healed. Many people are going to come that are lukewarm, and then they'll be fired up and become witnesses for the Lord. So that's the assignment, really. And that's why we're doing this tour. And I'm super excited. I'm really excited for London as well, because that's where we're ending our tour.
Come on.
So you can find tickets at matslive.org. So that's MATSLIVE.org. And tickets are free, so book quickly because they're going to run out. But it will be an amazing time, really, to see what the Lord will do for these events.
And it kicks off in July?
Kicks off in July on the 27th of July. That's the first date, Cambridge. And then we have the next one in Manchester, and then Brighton, and then we keep on going till the 15th of September, which is the last one in London.
Amazing. My gosh, I can't wait. It's going to be good. Definitely going to try and get to the London one because it's going to be fantastic, honestly. But this has been amazing. This has been fantastic. Thank you so much for us to meet you and to understand who you are, and just to, bring us into your world, because how God has transformed you is amazing. And I know that, yes, you were singing in the world and, your music is great, but I don't think people are about to experience like your voice and your gifting, and it's gonna hit differently, and so many people are going to be blessed. So I'm excited for you. for this journey. And thank you so much for taking out the time to share your story. So what I'll say is, can you leave us with a word of encouragement or something, especially for those who are struggling to hear, struggling to be obedient, and just really surrendering?
Yeah, I think God's heart for people is for relationship. That's it. That's why Jesus came to die, because he wants to bring people back to the Father and just unite everybody. He comes with love. He comes with compassion. Everywhere that Jesus healed somebody, you hear he had compassion on the people. That's his heart. He never judges. He said he's here for the people who are sick. A doctor will only treat people who are sick. So you would see that he's hanging around with, the tax collectors, and people are like, why is he hanging out with them? Because he's like, yeah, I came for the people. That's who I came for. So God's heart is a heart of love. And I believe that God wants to share that heart with people. He wants people to know that he's here to love and not condemn. A lot of people feel like, oh, I can't go close because he's going to condemn you, or I'm not good enough. But you're the right person that he wants you to come to the fold. So he has a heart for relationship. So what I would say is just run to him, because he's constantly looking for you to run to you. So allow that to happen. Let that connection happen. Run to him as well. And there's so many treasures that you find buried within this man called Jesus Christ. And you would see he will transform your life. He will change your life. But the most important thing, how you run to him, through prayer, through study of the word, through worship, and just maybe playing a sermon or something, but just always find a way to be in that atmosphere of praise, of prayer, of looking for his word and hearing what he has to say to you. And he will speak. He's like a father who always wants to speak to his child. So he's not trying to be mysterious. That's what he will do. He will speak to you. So I just pray for you right now. I pray that your eyes will see, your eyes will be open to see. I pray for the spirit of wisdom and revelation in the knowledge of him, to know yourself and to know him clearly. I pray that the Lord will plant your feet firmly on the path that he's created for you. I pray that you find love, joy, peace that passes all understanding, and that you discover him, and he will make his face shine upon you, and that he will reveal himself to you so that you can see clearly and see this man who is full of love for you. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Honestly, we could talk for such a long time. There's so much more that I would want to discuss and explore with you. So how can people keep in touch with you? Where can they find you?
Easiest place to find me is on social media. All my handles are the same. Bez Idakula. That's B-E-Z, or is it B-E-Z? I-D-A-K-U-L-A. B-E-Z-I-D-A-K-U-L-A. Check me out. Google me on Instagram, on Twitter, everywhere. X. I'm your boy.
He's active, very active. So yeah, make sure you hit him up. Well, Bez, thank you so much for joining me on Lady T Meets. It's been a pleasure, and we will definitely be keeping in touch with all that you do. And I pray that God continues to just strengthen you and give you the boldness and the courage to do what he has called you to do as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right, guys. So make sure that you keep in touch with us and all that we do on Affinity, and make sure you subscribe. If you are watching on the YouTube channel, it is subscribe and then like. Let us know in the comment section. And of course, on all audio platforms, make sure that you like the page and support us on everything that we do. Follow us on all social media, Affinity Xtra, and peace out.
Thank you for listening to this content. If you liked it, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and make a comment down below. Or even more so, check out our website www.affinityxtra.com for more information.